Hi, good evening everyone. I'm Marie Vistuchinsky. I give you a little bit background about myself. I've been in IT since 1986. I started as a large system programmer. I joined Molina Healthcare in 2011. I had a fortunate job to do IT transformation at Molina to prepare them for the Affordable Care Act.
Hello everybody, my name is Ryan Hooley. I've been in IT for probably about 15 plus years now as well. My current job is with Children's Health, Texas. When I first started there, did not have a beard. Children's is a very, very fast-paced organization, and when I first started, I probably spent the first 6 months in the data center. Thus, I didn't have time to shave, so I just gave up and went with it.
One of the things that from a technology standpoint, what we really like to do is come in and be that trusted advisor. One of the benefits we have is we can come in and listen to the customer as they talk about their problems, their issues, their concerns, their goals primarily.
I've been using Converge Infrastructure even at Sony. Actually, early adapter of the UCS compute stack for Cisco, and then before VCE was called VCE, was Acadia. So when I joined Molina in 2011, I'll give you a perspective of how the growth of healthcare reform is. Molina is a health plan, it's a payer, but there's 3 lines of business. There's the health plans. There's also a little bit of direct delivery, 37 clinics, and then recently acquired a hospital in Long Beach. And then there's also a health information management system where essentially we're ASP, and we actually perform claims processing for 5 states. My customers are actually the state CIO. So we process all their Medicaid claims for them in our data center. So that's where you productize IT, and that's where you do have to do a delivery that is a provisioning that is simplified and also rapid provisioning.
I spent a lot of time fixing and just chasing around just to make sure systems would work and come up every day. There was outages that caused clinical care issues. There was really some things that we definitely wanted to fix. And the goal that we started to look at was to start getting a 99 to 100% uptime. If 100% is even capable, we wanted to hit it.
So in 2011, as a perspective of Molina, when I joined, there were 4,000 employees nationwide. When I left in January, there were 12,000 employees. Storage-wise, data, as you know, healthcare, we keep everything forever, patient information. You do archive, but then it went from about 4 petabytes. When I left, it was 13 petabytes. So in a matter of less than 4 years, I mean, the growth of the data and how you mine those data is really exponential.
So we started looking at different infrastructures. VCE at the time had come out with their 700 series, their 720s, the 320s were out there as well. And we started to look at that along with a couple other different vendors out there that had similar solutions. Once we started to dive deep into really what we wanted, VCE kind of stood out. We wanted that complete uptime. We wanted our complete infrastructure stack to be supported by one person, everything to go through them, and really start to pull my team away from having to worry about firmware, having to go worry about, is this LUN okay? Am I going to have the performance behind it?
Converge Infrastructure, what really helped us is even the growth of the company was exponential. In fact, Enterprise Infrastructure Services, which has compute, storage, network, telephony, database, middleware, data warehousing, I mean, the headcount that I had at Molina didn't increase. So I stayed flat.
As we brought VCE into the fold, they were guaranteeing us that they could hit all these marks that we were giving to them. So we brought them in. We're able to start the 2014 upgrade of our Epic program, and within 9 months, they wanted it basically up and running and converted over for physicians to start using it. I don't know if any of you have dealt with EMRs, but especially Epic, that's quite the feat, especially bringing in and completely replacing your entire infrastructure. So as we got the funding and stuff, we got VCE. Back to the 45 days that I believe you mentioned, they're saying that we can bring in a fully converged infrastructure, put it on, and have it running in 45 days. So we basically said, prove it, and you have 30 days. And they met it.
Molina didn't have hospitals, so they have clinics. They would send, let's say in Virginia, there's a Medicaid patient that would go to one of the clinics nearby and say, I need a surgery. These are Medicaid patients. They don't have cars. So they would go for post-op, and they'll go for the surgery, and they'll go for pre-op. Most of the time, they will not follow up for post-op, and they'll get infection. So what we've done is really, by the use of Converge Infrastructure with unified communication, we actually built our own telehealth, telepresence, telemedicine type scenario, wherein the patient would then go to the clinic, to the nearby clinic, with a physician assistant, and the surgeon will be at University of Virginia, and through that telepresence, they would be doing an examination or even behavioral health type examination. So those are all hosted on a vBlock. And when you do that logical config and you plan ahead, that's where you get really the total cost of ownership. Most procurement or purchasing will say, no, this is too expensive. I'm writing this check. Well, if you're already using EMC storage and you're already virtualizing and you're using compute, you could actually look at the TCO, and the savings of that is going to be realized within the 3 years lifespan of that vBlock.
We went through the whole process, the LCS configuration, which basically means you spend probably a good 2 to 3 weeks up front of doing all your prep work. And what that does, it gives you the ability to roll the system in, turn it on, and start moving. So we did just that. Once we rolled VC in, we brought them to our data center and turned it on. We had that up and running in less than 2 weeks. 2 weeks, we were able to turn it over to our clinical partners and have them start building the Epic EMR. And what that did was it gave them back time where they didn't have to wait on us, and they were able to move forward and better prepare themselves for this go live, which is a very huge effort that they were trying to take care of. And case in point with that, they were able to hit it, and from our conversion and bringing everything over, there was zero downtime once we flipped the switch.
And in fact, Molina had hired an assessment. They came back and said the Converge infrastructure is really the right strategy to do for Molina, because at that point, we then started to do what we called IT as a service. This is where I was able to do a siloed-based organization from someone from the virtualization team saying, okay, now I need a network, VLAN, and now I need storage guy who need to provision this LAN. It's now orchestrated and automated. Now, the technology is one piece. The people in the process is actually the challenge here.
Part of the problem we had when we first went down VCE was you usually end up in silos. Your storage guys don't want to talk to the network guys. Your network guys don't want to talk to security guys. And it's really a change in how your teams work together, because you have to be willing to let go, because this system comes in, it's pre-configured, it's ready to go. So once you adapt to that, you look back at it now and you're like, why in the world didn't we do it before?
When you bring in Converge, and nothing with VCE or technology to partner, most of the engineering talent you have are very controlling to their own platform. I was an engineer, I was a Cisco engineer. I will not give a range of VLANs to anybody who would ask me. They have to prove to me what that security risk is, why they need this VLAN and all that. So it's the same thing. When you're bringing in that Converge thing, they cannot touch and feel. They can't go to the data center anymore. They're not going to provision that LAN. They're not going to, configure that vSphere. But you have to convince them to say, okay, if you're not doing this, you're going to do more innovative ways, just like you are going to now orchestrate, you are now going to automate, so that an intern can push the button and say, give me this virtual machine, and that will be provisioned.
99% of the time, your teams are going to have the skill set that they need to run the vBlock. There is going to be some nuances, obviously, between Dell or HP and UCS. And if you're an HP shop and have that type of storage in the background, obviously EMC brings a different picture to that. It's just, if you're a programmer, it's just different syntax. So it's just learning it a little bit different. But the nice thing about that is, on learning that, is you get to learn the entire stack from top to bottom.
I think the selling point for the engineers there is not only you would give them additional, really a different platform, that's something new, but with Converge, it actually dictates, the technology dictates that type of talent that you want to develop. So I think that's the big thing, and now you would call them, and we've worked with HR to change even the titles to a design engineer or principal engineer versus a traditional server storage network engineer.
The children's clinics that all of you probably drive by on a day-to-day basis, they all run Epic. And that we're able to use the converged infrastructure to really give the horsepower behind what they're asking for to help deliver that back down to them. Obviously, we're able to segment and security-wise inside of that, but we do that today. We're able to reach out, and it helps generate money back to the hospital as well.
What I've learned, and this is the best thing I've learned at Molina, is I then became, even if I was VP of Infrastructure, I became a partner of the business. Nowadays, it's the business that's going to provide you that capital expenditure. And they won't understand how much storage you need, or how much compute power you need, or how much IOPS. What they will understand is how fast can you deliver an EMR or a telemedicine or a telehealth application.
And that transparency has built the relationship between infrastructure, application owners, out even to the clinical side. So now they understand that infrastructure is not just a commodity that is endless storage. The converged infrastructure has allowed us to really build that transparency model with the rest of the hospital, which has engaged them and allowed us to become closer as a team, from not only IT, but back to the clinical side. Once they start understanding that, then you start seeing different performance levels of not only your internal IT teams, but now the rest of the house is starting to understand how the business really works. And once the business starts to really work, the whole process gets a little bit better.
Molina does serve underprivileged. So it is really not just the quality of care, but the mission is the quality of life.
A mission of Children's is to make life better for children. And obviously, if you've had a child in at the hospital, you absolutely want that. You want the best of the best. When you bring your child in, you want everything just to work. That when we bring in these new systems, we want them in there, we want them the best of the best, to really make sure that your child is taken care of when they walk in that door.